Hey everybody, it's Heather Nichols here, and this is part 2, video number 2 in a 5-part series around failure. What do you do when it feels like you failed at something that you were creating? It could be a relationship, it could be something with your body, it could be something with your business, monetary stuff, parenting. There's so many areas of life where we judge ourselves and we judge situations as failure. And when we do, we kill the possibilities that might actually be there. And that's what I want to talk about today. So this second tool, and second, really it's a question from Access Consciousness and from the Joy of Business, is what have I created that I have not acknowledged? So creation is largely energetic. And, at some point, things actualize, things show up. Some people say manifest. I prefer the word actualize, as that it means that they show up. Manifest is how something shows up. When you actualize something, it's that it shows up. So sometimes it takes a very winding road energetically for something to actualize, and we don't realize that it's in the works. And so I used in the first video my example of my divorce many years ago, where it was, if you haven't watched it, we'll link it down below, but where it was very difficult for me in the first couple of years, and I knew that I was creating a greater future, so I needed to be present with that. And so you've got to look from a different perspective, which I also talked about in the first video, but it's really about looking at the energy of the situation. And this is where you have to trust yourself, and you have to acknowledge that if you're somebody watching these videos, if you consider yourself like a seeker, there is so much, like, you are probably largely an energetic being. And that doesn't mean that you don't need money and a house and, all those things. But if we start to see ourselves more as the energetic beings that we are, we get to use that world, we get to harness that world, we get to tap into the world of the energetics of creation dynamically. And I have to say, for many years, I was creating a business. I've been in my own, worked for myself and had a business for, probably 25 years. And for the first 10 or so, maybe more, but I was a psychotherapist, and I was consulting business coaches and all kinds of things. Nobody talked to me about the energy. It was like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I did all those things, and my income just kind of didn't really grow. My business didn't grow that much. And then I remember actually being like, dear universe, bring me lots of clients and lots of money, but I didn't have any other way. I didn't have any pragmatic tools to really actualize what I was asking for. I knew it was energetic, but that was all that I had. And then I found the tools of Access Consciousness and the Joy of Business, which is an amazing specialty area in Access Consciousness. And I started using those tools, and my income grew by an average of 57% every year for 7 years. And so it was, and it still like changes and grows, and my whole business, some years it doesn't grow financially, but the business grows. And that's what I want to talk about here. So you will see this translate into money, and stay with the energy, because you want to be looking at the future that you're creating. So asking, what have I created that has not yet actualized? Such a powerful question. Now, again, I spoke in the first video about how when we ask a question, we're asking the universe. We're not asking ourselves. We're not looking for an answer. Part of this particular question is also the acknowledgement that we have created something that hasn't shown up yet. And so but you can only get the awareness of it because we're dealing with the energetics. You can only get the awareness of it if you are curious and you ask a question. Every question that you ask opens a new door, and a different door to a new awareness and a different awareness. So you have to be curious. This is one of the biggest pieces that runs through everything, all 5 of these videos, but everything is get curious about possibilities, get curious about the energy, get curious about what's actually occurring. The universe winds and weaves and, with us as players, with our choices and our questions and all of that, and the things that we engage with and the things that we do. There's like these, we call them the quantum entanglements, right? So there's all these energies that are weaving and winding and in creation all the time on our behalf, based on our asks, based on our choices, based on, all the things we're looking at, what we're showing up to do every day. That is part of the universe evolving and expanding itself, and you're included in that. Now, sometimes the quantum entanglements, there's so much rearranging that has to happen on so many different levels involving other people, whatever it may be, that it takes time. And it's when we add time into the equation that really, things get really tricky. So please do whatever you can to take time out of the equation. Time is way more of a judgment than a reality. And see if you can relax and ask, what have I created that hasn't yet actualized? Then you can start to be, and this may not be a cognitive thing, but then you can start to be aware of the energies, and you can start to be aware of, you'll just start to perceive possibilities. It may be things that, specific things that come to your awareness, but a lot of time for me, what I notice is it's more, I relax into this space and I relax into the energies. And then I'm like, I have a sense of wow, I've created a lot that hasn't actualized yet, and it's on its way. One of the best analogies that I use for this is planting a garden. You plant seeds, you till your soil, you do all the prep work. If you're going to plant a really good garden, you're going to spend a lot of time preparing the soil and making sure that it's in a good place, sunlight, water, all the things, irrigation, amending the soil, all these things. Then you plant seeds, and if you plant a garden, you're not going to stand over the seeds and get pissed off that they don't become a gigantic, tomato plant right away or whatever. That it takes time. You trust that underneath the surface of the soil, there's germination happening. The seed has to get wet. It has to be nourished. It has to, start to sprout little tendrils and then bigger. And, that takes time. And we don't stand over the garden and go, why are you not a tomato plant today? I want tomatoes today. I planted the seed yesterday. But we do this with our lives. We do this with our businesses. See your life and your business and your body and your relationships and everything that you're up to as a garden that you're planting that actually is for your whole life. And even if you want to go there, for lifetimes, because the energies that we change in this life, that we create, that we move, challenges that we move beyond, we create something for ourselves as a being that's really powerful, that stays with us through many lifetimes. So it's really looking at business and creation as the long game, and seeing, how much we are able to be present with what is those seeds that are in the ground. We know they're there. We know that watering them is, not too much, but giving them the water and the nutrients that they require we're doing the best that we can do. And every garden that you plant, there's going to be seeds that grow into big, beautiful, flourishing plants. And then there's going to be those that don't. And that's part of the deal as well. Not everything that you create will actualize, but that's okay. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. So what have I created that has not yet actualized? As soon as you acknowledge it, you nurture it, and it can grow.